Hello, all my inspirations, and welcome to Inspirational, where we have special guests who share their journeys and stories to inspire, encourage, and bless us. Today, we have an amazing lady with us. Her name is Rachel, and she's from Nigeria. She's going to be sharing her story about her childhood and adversities and how she survived throughout all she went through. Thank you all so much for being here. I want to welcome the replay gang. God bless you all. Thank you ever so much. I hope you enjoy this program, this story. God bless you all and welcome to Inspirational. I'm just excited to say hello to my family because I know you've all landed. I know you've all landed. Let me say hello to some people. Welcome on in, everybody. God bless you all. We have one of the best families, literally. We on these YouTube streets, we have one of the best families. Our family just mwah. So I want to say thank you. I'm not sure if the ads are going on, so I'm going to wait a bit. But I want to say thank you to everybody. God bless you all. And before I do that, let me just share myself out. Thank you all. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Thank you, guys. God bless you all. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you guys so much for being here and the love. God bless you all. Thank you. All right, guys. Let me start saying hello. Okay, my lovely family. So, how's everybody doing? I hope the flight I hope you had a safe journey. I thank God that you have all landed safely. Yes, we thank God. We fly in style. Yes, my dear sister Elizabeth. I'm sure she was on a first class flight, a BA flight. So yes, we thank God. God bless you all. Thank you so much, Grace Lander. Thank you ever so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I saw you on our Dear Sisters live. Blessing. Okay, we have our guest here. Let me just quickly welcome everybody before I bring our guest up. God bless you all. Thank you so much, Lion King, Speaking Grace, Elizabeth Moe. Thank you all so much. God bless you guys. Thank you so much, Pastor's Wife Perspective. Dear sister, you are so awesome. His words, my lovely family, I really thank you so much for being here. Hello, my lovely sister, Destiny. Oh, God bless you, sister. Jane in Worship. God bless you, my lovely sister. Thank you all so much. Who else? Virtual Church TV. God bless you, my dear friends. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. My lovely sister, Effa. God bless you, Sister E. I love you. Thank you, Miss Kenny. God bless you, Miss Kenny. I love you. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Teo, God bless you. Uncle, God bless you. Spice it up with Rwandia. God bless you, my lovely sister. Everybody has landed well. Yes, I'm excited. What did Virtual Church say? My flight was good, but I didn't get an in-flight meal. Don't worry. We'll have to sort you out after. Let me bring up my guest, guys, and we're going to get into it. And then after, I'm going to say some announcements. And then, yeah, so let's bring up our dear sister, Rachel. For those who missed it, we're going to be speaking. Rachel's going to be sharing her story about her childhood and her adversities that she faced and how she actually survived throughout all the many things that she faced. All right, let's bring up our dear sister, Rachel. Thank you all so much. God bless you all. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Mary. Good evening.
Good evening, my lovely sister. You look so beautiful. Thank you ever so much for being here with your lovely
Thank you
smile.
so
God bless you. Yes,
much.
everybody. This is our sister Rachel, and she. Anyway, you'll have your time to introduce yourself, but she's all the way from Nigeria, and you know, of course, we have to big up Nigeria in the house. But yes, my lovely sis. You know, when I heard your story, I know we're going to get into it. I was blown away. I said to myself, on this platform, Inspirational, I need this story to be told because there are so many people out there that need to hear this story. Not only do they need to hear the story, they need to connect with it and know that this thing that they're going through, whatever it is, they can pass through because we have a dear sister that has passed through it. So my lovely sister, Rachel, welcome. I welcome you. And
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sister. So introduce us. Who are you? Let us know your background, a bit about your background. You know, let us know who you are. Who is Rachel?
Okay, thank you so much, Mary. Thank you so much, everyone watching us. I'm so excited being on the show today. Just as she said already, my name is RACHAEL G. ONYEMAIRO. I am that girl that came from a broken home. I'm that girl that had issues and a lot of struggles, growing up. I was okay. As I said, I came from a broken home. So my parents got separated when I was 4, and it wasn't funny, and that was how struggle began. So I am that girl who experienced being a dropout in school, who experienced narrow escape from rape, from ritual,
Wow.
killers, and a lot of other things. I'm that girl who has forged her way, despite challenges, and has come to the limelight, of course, and we are still coming. So that is
Absolutely.
Rachel. Today, I am
Yes, yes.
a fulfilled woman, and of course still driving towards much more fulfillment.
Of
That is
course.
me, Rachel from Nigeria.
Awesome, 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 Rachel. So you mentioned a couple things, you spoke about at the age of 4, your parents divorced. How many brothers and sisters? What was your household like growing up? How many brothers and sisters did you have, or do you have rather? And what was that? What was that experience like, growing up?
Okay, where I had we were 5. So I have 2 brothers, 3 brothers and 2 sisters and 1 sister. That is, we are 5. So I have a sister and 3 brothers. So, and I'm second to the last child, in the house. And growing up was my growing up could be described as overwhelming and that of hopelessness.
Mm,
Overwhelming because when my mom left my dad, and we were in the village then, and my dad had this house he built, so we were just alone in the compound. So, and the eldest of us was about 10 years or so at the time. So it was like a child taking care of other children, and
right.
a lot of times we were alone. A lot of times we were sick. My father could go for on outside work, and there wasn't anyone taking care of us. So the challenge grew so much that it became almost part of us. We got overwhelmed with it, but there was nothing we could do.
Mm,
So at the point, I felt our life is just that way all through. So that's why I say I was overwhelmed. It became something I couldn't do anything about, and from right, left, front, and back, it was loneliness, it was problem, it was fatherlessness, and all that. And then it was so hopeless because we didn't know when it would end. I mean, it
mm.
actually lasted. In fact, it actually lasted. I mean, so
So from the
my
age of
growing up
4.
was
Mm.
I think these 2 words capture it: overwhelming and hopelessness. I mean, it's also hopeless.
Mm.
It
Yes,
was so
because you
hopeless.
spoke about poverty, you spoke about hunger. As a
Mm,
child growing up, I can imagine what was that like? What kind of things would you have to put together to make ends meet? 4 children,
mm,
a mother.
mm,
How did you go through that? What were those days like? What would you
mm.
have to do?
Okay, like I remember some of the times my dad wasn't around, and
Mm.
hunger, got us rough handled. I mean, hunger rough handled us. I remember at certain times we had to make some so some African salad, as it's described, and this thing couldn't even be fermented, and we were eating it like that. It was
Wow.
exposing ourselves to health risks. So there were
Yes.
other times where I had to do business as a child. My situation
Mm.
taught me that a child can do business, not just an adult. I remember at
Mm.
certain times I had to make rice, make white rice, make stew, put it in small food flask, put in a basin, and I went to a primary school nearby to see whether pupils could buy my rice. Okay,
Mm.
so I could make money. At this time, I was still in primary school. I hadn't entered secondary school. It was that
So
bad.
so what age was this?
Yeah, some people bought.
What age? What age?
Oh, that was around age 9. That was
Hmm.
around age 9. Could you imagine? a 9-year-old child trying to go sell, in fact, trying to cook. It's even now I'm still trying to remember what exactly did my stew look like. The stew that I used for the rice. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it looks like, but how to say. I used to remember because I grew up, these things happened mostly in the village. I remember also going to farm. At certain times, I was hired to do some farm work. And because I was very tender, this time I was getting to around 13, but because I was still small, sometimes I could get to the farm and the job itself would be so overwhelming. I couldn't do it. I could do my bit and I could get tired. And when I got tired, the higher would just be like, "Nay, you're still small now. You're a small girl. Why did you even come to do this?" And I didn't have to explain, so I might just start crying over there. And the fellow could just give me some money. I still remember one of the ladies I went threshing rice for. We were threshing rice for her. If you know what that means, I was actually threshing.
What does it mean? Explain for us.
Okay. To thresh rice actually is that after people cultivate rice, and the rice is mature, is ready for harvest, and is cut with sickle. There's a farming instrument called sickle. So after it's cut with sickle, a thresher, like a stick, it will be used on it because the rice at this time is dry. So as you beat the stem, on which is the rice, over time the seed of the rice gets dropped, flings out fling out rather, and the chaff is removed. You fan it, and then you get the seed. So this was what I was beating, and you have to like keep threshing, like hitting the stick on it until you were able to collect rice that could be. It was measured in bags. So I was expected to be able to thresh as much as a whole full bag. I'm talking about 100 kg of a bag. Around 14 years. So my hands could get scratched everywhere. I remember working for this particular auntie, and at the end, she told some stories and she couldn't pay. She couldn't pay. I came back hungry. I still did not collect the money. Till date, she never paid until she died. She's dead now. So she just told some stories that she told, a very flimsy story. And I was like, this lady knew that our mom wasn't there. We were like all friends, but she didn't pay. So we had experiences of working without pay at some point. I mean, going to work for people and almost fainting in the farm. Mary, it was excruciating.
Yes, absolutely excruciating. And I think that, well, let me just read some comments because this is just, so Speaking Grace has said, so touching. Hearing children go through things like this breaks my heart. Uncle says, yes, too much responsibility for a child. And Effa says, you were being built and strengthened. Wow. You were being built and strengthened. Because I think that what we have to understand is that when it comes to adversity at any age, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to go through challenges in life. Things that happen to us, things that happen to us without not because it's our fault, but we just find ourselves in the situation. But as a child, going through an adversity, it's intensified. It's worse. It's like, these are the years that you're supposed to be enjoying. These are the years that you're supposed to be, innocent, enjoying yourself, having fun, playing. But you're forced to do labor like an adult. You're forced to have a burden of an adult. You're forced to have that burden as an adult just to try and help and make ends meet. So because I'm trying to figure out now, Sister Rachel, what I'm trying to think about is, with all of this going on, what was going on at school? Because of course, something emotional is happening to you in your mind psychologically. How did you cope at school? How were your days at school? How did you function? Was it successful? Did you have to leave school? Tell us a bit about your education.
There was a comment you made that actually touched my heart, and I don't want to be emotional on this video. I mean, I want to behave like an adult. But believe me, I could a lot of things are getting refreshed in my mind. Because you made a comment, you said at a time where you should be enjoying, you were there, grudging back in pains. Could you believe there was a time in my life when the biggest need I had was to have a woman I could call mommy? I mixed up with kids, and the word mommy was very popular. I had no woman under heaven I could call my mommy. It
Mm.
was a pain. I desired to have a mommy. Another pain I had was it got to a point where I began to tell myself, I said, Rachel, do you know the truth? If your mommy appears here now, you don't know her. Because this thing happened at very tender age. So I got a point where I wasn't very sure again. I could still remember the face of the woman that it's my mom. So I just told myself, you know what? If this woman appears among, let's say, three women that aren't looking alike, I would know which one is my mom. But if she appears among people who look alike, I may not know who my mom is. This thing followed
Okay,
me to
sis, let me take us back just a little bit, because someone has asked, did she mention anything about her parents? So I'm gonna go back to the point where it's your mum and your dad. Sadly, your dad has passed away, and your mum is with you. So what was the disconnect? Because my understanding is that your mum was living in the house. So did you separate from your mum? Explain. Can you just recap that?
Oh, okay.
Recap
Okay.
that.
What actually happened was that I had my two parents.
Yes.
So both of them began to have issues as a couple. So they began to have a misunderstanding, and this thing led to divorce. Okay. They actually
Right.
divorced. But in this case, my mom left the house, okay, with
Yes.
the little one she had in the hand at the time, the nursing one that she was nursing,
Yes.
while we stayed back. So we stayed with our dad. But because my dad was doing this kind of work, he was an engineer. So he could be hired, he could travel outside the state and all of that for work. So each time he traveled, we were alone. So what
Right.
happened was that our mom parted from us. Okay, that was what happened. So
Yes.
we stayed with our dad for quite a number of years before it was, like I said in my story, about 24 hours to my dad's demise was when my mom came back to the family. And she's been with us actually since then.
Yes, sis. I'm very clear, very, very clear. So as you were saying, so you were
Education.
yes. So about education, one thing you wanted was to say, call somebody your mother. To call somebody your mother, to put a face to this person. To be able to, because even when you go to school and you're speaking to your friends, a lot of times we do speak about our parents. Oh, what are you going to eat today? What did your mom cook for you? You're reminded of your parent, because at that time your parents are very heavily looking after you. Very much, are they going to collect you from school? All of these type of things.
Actually, one of the things I suffered a lot in my education was anxiety. Let me explain. From primary school, I never attended nursery school as a child. From primary school, I could go to school. Actually, I was very brilliant. I mean, I used to be very brilliant. It's now that I don't know what happened to my brilliance. I used to be very intelligent as a child. So when I went to school, as you mentioned, other kids could say, my mommy gave me this, my mommy bought this for me.
Yeah.
Now I had no mommy doing that for me.
Yes.
Most times too, that was a pain. So that when I came to school, instead of being very happy with other kids, the moment they began, mommy said, mommy gave, I would go back to my shell. And that would make me moody for the day. Again, was anxiety. Anxiety in the sense that, okay, before I got to the anxiety level, I was given to people. First, I was given to an old woman and her daughter who was a widow at the time. Both of them were widows. The woman's husband was dead. The daughter's husband was dead. So the daughter returned to her house, and I was given to them as a maid. At this point, I would be around 8. That was before I did the rice selling that I mentioned, the food selling that I mentioned.
Yes.
So this woman subjected me to series of domestic abuse. So I was also taking care of the baby, the widow, the younger widows and babies. So at least, whereas the dads were late, at least they had mom. So they would run to their mom. They would run to their mom. Sometimes the mom would sometimes I would just be watching the mother's-children relationship. How mothers care, even how mothers overcare, even give enough of this thing called care. And I would just be envying the kids. So even now, that was it. Now, when I began school, in the school, most times, as I said, as other children will be mentioning their parents and their moms, especially mom. At this time, I was giving to another auntie, another family. So I was living with other people. Now, then this my uncle's wife, which was a woman I was actually living with, you know, exposed me to a different kind of pain or different kinds of pain. It was in this particular family's house, you know, in this particular house that I attempted suicide many times. I was around 11 then because of the series of pain I met. At a point, it got so bad that I went to school. I was doing so well. My teacher in school said, Ginika, you are such an intelligent child. You don't need to be in, I was in primary 4. She said she said she would promote me to primary 5. Because I was already taking first, I was doing so good. So she felt that being in primary 4 was a waste of time. She would promote me to primary 5.
Yes.
I came back home and I told my mistress, I said, Auntie, that my auntie in the school said, CCC, that I would be promoted to another class. You know what she said?
What did
she looked at me. I was like, who told you I brought you here to train you in school? Okay, you want to rush your education so I could, you know, quickly put in secondary school and maybe university. Okay, your mind tells you that's why you came here. As a matter of fact, you get back and get to primary 4. So her interest was not whether I was doing well in school or not.
Yeah.
But he wasn't ready to train me, spend a lot on my education.
Yeah,
so he wanted me to progress. Stagnated.
Exactly. He was stopping you from progressing.
Exactly. It was painful. Then some other times, remember the family first enrolled me in night school. Please let me give a little bit story about this particular one.
This is your time.
It's okay. I was enrolled in night school. This night school was supposed to be adult education. It was supposed to be for adults. When I got to the school, I was the only child. I didn't even see a teenager. I didn't even see a youth. I only saw parents. I was the only child. Some people, some classmates of mine, those parents, were like, are you part of this class? I could say, yes, ma. I remember one woman in the class looked at me one day and said, are you a maid? I said, yes, ma. She said, no wonder. She just felt that a child with parents cannot be here. So I was going to that school. I was going around 7 p.m. or 8. I should go by 6:37, but I could always go late because I had to cook, I had to wash, I had to do a lot of things. So that was how I was doing until one day. Meanwhile, this school was like a track road. The road wasn't a very busy one. It was a risky one. And one of the days, there was this river that we used to pass before I get to the school at my age at night. So we could dismiss around 9:30, 10, sometimes past 10. And alone, I would be back. My aunties rarely gave me money for, tea fare for going or coming back. So I could trek back. So one of the days I was going and I suspected the movements were somehow funny as I was getting a bit closer to the school. So things weren't the way they used to be. So I began to suspect what exactly could be happening. Eventually, I learned that ritualists or assassins, came and caught. It was the gate man of the school they caught, and they butchered the man like an animal. I mean, they cut the flesh in pieces. And that was around the river, that lonely path where I pass every day. So when I heard this, Mary, I was full of trauma. The fear to even get back, because the route through which I could get back was still where I had this thing happened. In fact, it was like, if you wanted to come and see the man's flesh, please come and see. But fear couldn't allow me. So I was like, oh my God, how do I get back?
Yeah.
And I managed to get back. And God helped me. No one saw me. No one killed me. I was able to run before I could see any human. I mean, I had run for a very long distance before I ran to the main road and I began to walk home. My body was so shaky. Wow. I nearly fell into vehicles passing on the road because I was full of tension when I got home. I found it hard to explain to my uncle what happened. I just kept saying, oh, they killed that gate man. I was trying to, initially it was like, what kind of rubbish is that? I said, Uncle, they killed a gate man. So eventually, when I was able to manage the trauma to explain what happened, He said, okay, if you have to give the kids your get money, means you cannot go again, then you need to stay. You have to stay. And I had to stay
Oh,
at home for about a year because
oh.
it means you refuse going to night school, and so you have to stay. So I have
So
to stay
what?
back.
How old were you? What age was this?
That was I think I was 12 at this time.
Okay.
Was that what
Okay.
exactly? I think I was 11, not 12. I think I should be 11. Because
Mhm.
I actually need to. Sometimes I've actually forgot, to be honest, at
Of
which
course.
age what happened.
Yes.
Except the day I took my time to try to write them down so I could remind
Okay.
myself that this better.
It's okay, sis. Just roundabout, just so that we can follow the journey. And yeah, that's okay. So,
Okay.
because of this, you had to stop going to school in the evening school. So, what were you doing throughout that year in the house?
I was just there as a nanny, because she was a wife with kids. So I was taking care of the baby boy. My auntie was a civil servant. My uncle was a civil servant. So they would go to work. I would wash. I would, no more. So I was a house help. I did all house chores all through the time before eventually I was enrolled in afternoon school. That was
Okay.
after about a year.
Okay, sis. So, there's something that you mentioned, sis, and you spoke about suicidal thoughts and survival. How did you overcome that in your mind? How did you fight that as a young child? And I mean, how did you overcome those thoughts as a child? Because it's such a tender age. I think that when we speak about things like this, it just sounds like, oh, suicidal thoughts. But we have to always remember that it's difficult as an adult on its own. But as a child, facing all of those things and then to still face suicidal thoughts, what were you thinking in your mind? Who did you depend on or lean on? Who could you even speak to about these things that you were going through? What was your escape, sis? Explain to us.
Where I didn't quite speak to any particular person.
Mm,
Though I had this friend, then a boy, but he was older than I am, but we could relate a bit. So he could come. I could call him sometimes Brother Festus because his name was, is Festus. So because he was more of, we weren't mated, sadly. So I couldn't explain everything, but I tried a bit to explain my peri to him. But what hurt me was one, I was very academic. I was academically very intelligent
mm,
because I was very bright in school. Despite my situations and anxiety. So when I came to the class, the teacher would be teaching. Sometimes there were many times I took first. But guess what? I was supposed to get, if the overall mark was, for example, 1,500 marks in all, for example, I could do that using 1,350. I could actually get 1,500. That is failing little or none, but because of anxiety. So what happened was that because I was academically very intelligent, something
mm.
kept telling me, "Nne, you were a star." I mean, how can you in life allow these people you are passing to pass you? So that singular victory of every, always emerging the best in the class kept telling me you were a star. So I kept seeing myself as a star. I kept seeing myself as someone who, an intelligent child like me shouldn't. So sometimes I'll just be visualizing
Mm.
this child that's Chukuma, Michael, Messi that took 8 in the class, 9th position with 50 as average, and I that could take first consistently, that could come with 95 and all of that. I said, no, I must keep pressing in life until they will celebrate me. So I didn't even know what it means to celebrate someone. But that was my whatever. And the second thing that saved me was my dad. My dad
Mm.
taught us because I said I attempted suicide many times in this uncle's house. Each time I wanted to do funny thing, my dad's voice would come back that said, if you kill yourself, you go to hell. That was what my dad told us. So
Mm.
we just got to know, randomly from him that anyone who kills themselves would go to hell. And so he held me, since hell is a place I wouldn't imagine going to. So the fear of hell kept me. So I
Mm.
think two things that helped me then was the fear of hell, so I couldn't kill myself, and then my performance in school kept making me think you were a star, you were getting to somewhere. I think these were two motivations I had at the early stage.
Okay. Awesome. I've got a question here and I've got a lot of comments. Let me just read some of the comments. Everybody's just shocked, to be honest. I've got some comments saying, this is so traumatizing. I've got comments saying, thank God. Wow, what an experience. Really touching. Bless you. Another comment saying, wow. Someone said, this makes me angry. Okay, let me read a comment. So what I think what we're seeing or what we're reading is the compassion, that you've been through this, we can relate, and we are feeling uncomfortable about it. We're saying, how can this happen to a child? You know, how can this happen to a child? And I think that that's the best position to be in as a person, because I think that once we take a position and we look at somebody's circumstance and we are not judgmental, but we are empathetic, we're able to put ourselves in their shoes and think about what they went through. These are the best ways that you can support somebody. I think it starts from that. So I have a question from JE Online. And the question is, did you grow up bitter? Were you bitter? Were you resentful? Were you angry?
Yeah, I think I love this question because I did. Yes, I did. One, I began to see aunties, people who had house helps as beasts, a kind of people who are inconsiderate. I remember one day my auntie sent me, she was washing. She sent me on a errand. I went, I missed something. I couldn't even remember what exactly it was. I came back, I said, Auntie, I missed something. Let me show you. This is a hanger. This is plastic hanger. So she collected a metal one that I brought for her earlier where she was washing. And the way she held it, she hit it on my forehead. This part of the hanger, I don't know whether there's actually an opening here, but it entered into my skin. This bending entered to a level, and for the first and last time I could see such in my life, instead of her to do the hanger this way so it could come out, she drew it this way, tearing the rest of the flesh. I don't know why I could touch it, but it's so insignificant that I could only touch it, you can see it.
Yes, sis.
These and many more made me see people that have house helps as very wicked people. Another of people I was bitter with was men. Because while I was in this auntie's house, I was nearly raped by pedophile. It was a narrow escape. While I was in this same people's and my uncle's house, the young man was a bachelor at the time, and it was a struggle. Good enough, he didn't have a weapon. So we struggled. It was in the room. We struggled, and I was able to break out. So that made me think then that, in fact, I grew to an stage where I accepted that, Rachel, you are not a very strong person. I used to think I'm a very strong person, because for me to overcome that guy, and I couldn't allow him to to touch my pants, I felt I was a superwoman. So I didn't know it was just God that delivered me. Now, I grew up to see, and when my parents were having misunderstanding, I actually witnessed how we went, to an extent that was quite tender. I was around 4, but I could still remember. So what I could see was my dad probably talking or doing one or two funny things. So I felt men were hard. I felt men were heartless. I grew so bitter that while I was in secondary school, I told myself, Rachel, you are not going to be getting married. I was not going to be marrying a man. I told myself I was going to live my life in a way that men will come beg me. I told myself, if I wanted to have kids, I would do that outside marriage. I wanted to prove to men that I could live without you. I felt men were too hard. So I grew up bitter, but good enough. When I was a teenager, at 14, I think, I gave my life to Jesus. Because my dad introduced us to Christian faith. My dad preached to us a lot. He wanted to collect Jesus and give to us, but of course that isn't possible. So he wanted to force Jesus into us. So, but eventually I gave my life to Jesus. And the whole thing, it was like It was like reformatting my system. I was reconfigured. So by the time I entered university, I was a changed person. And it was in the university, I told myself, Rachel, you know what? You're going to be getting married to one lovely man somewhere. You know, I took the decision, and I even took the decision that, you know what? You're not just going to be getting married. Your marriage is going to be work. So bitterness about the men now left, and bitterness about aunties. Again, Mary, I must confess, it was when I grew up that I began to see that first, I began to understand what marriage means. And I noticed that it wasn't always my dad that was at fault, as I had always thought. Two, I equally saw my folly as a child, where I was living with my aunties, when I could play, despite all this situation, I could play like crazy. So I thought being too playful was one of the things that angered my auntie, but because he didn't know how to tolerate, so he could hit me. So I was bitter at a point, but I overcame it eventually.
Praise God. That alone is like, it's so beautiful to hear. But I totally understand, because a lot of things that happened to you growing up were because of people, or at least hearing negative things about people. So you're now an adult, you're placed in a position where you're supposed to be responsible, you're supposed to be independent, but you have to still face these people that you've heard negative things about, that have done negative things to you. You're looking at everybody thinking, who's going to hurt me next? Where's this going to come from next? But the fact that you overcame that, and I think that, I get your dad had a lot of influence, because of course he told you about God. I would say he sowed the seed. He told you about Jesus and everything like that. But what were some practical steps that you took to actually overcome all of this? What were some practical steps, sis? Because we can never ever water down this story or this experience. As great as you are and as beautiful as you are today, this story can never be watered down, because it's a very, very heavy burden to carry. So
I didn't get that question, please.
What were some of the practical steps that you took to becoming this person that was forgiving, or at least trusted people? What were some practical things that you did?
All right. Mary, the most practical step I took, once again, was giving my life to Jesus. You see, a lot of us profess Christianity, but Christianity is a mystery. That thing is initiation. Christianity is something I can't describe.
Wow.
Jesus collected my life and altered it. I am by nature melancholy. I'm dominantly melancholic. You could know that bitterness was part of me naturally as a melancholic person. But God dealt with me. So when I gave my life to Jesus, I did that without reservation. So as I began to see things that did not conform to the new faith, I personally took it to God.
Wow.
I said, God, change this about me. One of it is that I have hard heart as a person. I think I have a terrible heart, very bad one. Thank God I gave my life to Jesus, because my kind of person would have killed. I grew up having a very terrible heart. So, but two, I wasn't the very forgiven type. There were times in my life that I wanted to forgive. I was desirous to forgive. I couldn't forgive someone. So, because I knew that Jesus said in Mark chapter 11, he said, when thou go to pray, forgive. Jesus. So I said, Jesus, I can't forgive, but you can make me forgive. So there were times, even to date, I live that life. If I feel that, Rachel, you now get angry, this is not like you. I would literally go to God like a child and say, God, this is not part of you. So practical steps I took was that I never approached Christianity theoretically. For me, I had to be godly or not. So as I kept seeing things that did not conform, I kept crying to God. Can I mention specifically
Praise
that
God. Yes.
I gave my life in 2004. I gave my life to Jesus in 2004. And I think I got what I call sanctification, purification of heart. circumcision. I got a specific kind of heart transformation by God in 2014. That was about 10 years after I gave my life to Jesus. I noticed a change because between 2004 and 2014, I could hear some Christians say, things are not the same anymore. So for me, I saw things that were still same. So I went to God, I prayed over time. And when the change came, you see, that Ezekiel chapter 36, Ezekiel chapter 26, verse 36. I experienced it. God said, I will give you a new heart and a new spirit. Okay, I will take away the stony heart and I will give you the heart of flesh. It happened to me in 2014. So that was one. Again, was that you see what they said when they said purpose. Even when I didn't know exactly what purpose is, something in me cleaved to that. Something in me headed to that direction. There was a tropism, there was a movement towards fulfilling purpose. And I began to know that because of the kind of purpose I was perceiving I am born to fulfill, this bitterness wouldn't go with me. Okay?
Yeah.
They wouldn't go with me.
Yes.
So I had to forgive.
Yes.
So the practical steps I took was, one of them was trying to find out who I was. So by doing this, I kept seeing the things that could not agree. Let me tell you again, Ma. One of the things that I found out was that I told myself, Rachel, the kind of woman you be on earth, you have to have a happy marriage. I didn't just have to get married and have a peaceful marriage. I needed to have a very lovely marriage. I saw it as an indispensable component of my purpose on earth. So practically, I took decisions. I told myself I would do anything to make my marriage work. So it was no longer about bitterness. It was like doing anything to make it work. So what I'm saying is that the first step was this giving life to Jesus and following it more practically. The second step was the identifying with the personality of purpose. Like something in me kept telling me, you have a direction, you have a problem to solve. And so I could head into that direction. And that way I began to get rid of whatever that does not comply to where I was headed.
Yes.
That was exactly what happened.
Wow. Oh, wow. I mean, this is the power of Jesus. And you touched on so many points. And I love the way you connected the person who you wanted to be, who you want to be, where you're going. That this person and where I'm going, I can't have a heart of unforgiveness because I'm going to have to relate to people. I need to be free. And whatever it is that I cannot do in my own capacity, whatever it is I am not able to let go of easily, Lord, have your way in my heart. Because if I can't do it, you can do it through me. And I just think it's so awesome. And I believe our dear sister, People Chosen by Grace, spoke about your I read a comment. She spoke about your education, saying that your education, you being brilliant in school, having good grades and being smart, that is a gift that God used to keep you going. That gift that God put in you is something, because remember, every time you thought of that gift, it's like you could keep going. And if you also remember, another thing that you kept thinking of is what your dad was saying about, listen, if you do this, relating back to God. So those were two things, that your gifting and your salvation and who you are as a person kept you strong despite the adversities, despite the suicidal thoughts, despite the physical abuse, despite the neglect. Do you understand? Despite all you were going through, you had those thoughts and it kept you going and it pushed you.
Sorry for the interruption. It's okay. You actually asked me how I managed bitterness, how I managed the offenses, moving on with life, and then what kept me going as a child. I think as I grew up, I had little more that kept me going in addition to these two. I don't know whether we are still coming to that, but I just want to say quickly that this was okay. I should mention that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because actually, from my teenage years, especially from when just before I gave my life to Christ and after then, two more things that came to play, okay, was aside purpose. Please let me say something little more about the purpose thing. You know, in my family, in my immediate family, doing well in school is normal. I think all of us, the five of us, are brilliant. But when my dad died when I was 13, I gave my life to Christ a year after my father's demise. You know, it dawned on us that we were poor. It was a poverty thing now because we had struggled. Despite the whole intelligence, we were still aching out life. Something happened. At a point, it was like, I was like, is it a curse? How can we be this brilliant, all of us? We were solving problems here and there randomly, but we still, suffering in the hands of poverty. Something told me, Rachel, you know what? There's something you can find and begin to do and do it exceptionally. You overcome poverty. The world will run after you. I think that's purpose thing. I began to find out who exactly I am. So I could find myself in the direction of building men. But how could I convert this to money making? Was another challenge. So I kept pushing. When I got to the school, I remember I was made the senior prefect at a point. From there, I began to do leadership. I began to try to teach. And then something happened. At every stage I passed, I was teaching people who were still there. So when I got to the university, I began to produce and present a paramedia program as an undergraduate that I called Say It As It Is. There was a program, in fact, I manufactured the name. Say It As It Is was Rachel's program as an undergraduate student of University of Nigeria. What did I do? So I could gather people, I could have it like a talk show and all that. So I kept trying to dig out what I knew how to do better than others. Okay? So this was explaining a little about purpose and how that helped me. Now getting back to the other two, the next thing that kept me was, should I call it high thoughts or should I call it being ambitious? I am someone that could sit like this and Mama would tell me, babe, you know what? Tomorrow you'll be addressing nations. I say, it's true. Something in me used to tell me I could be addressing nations. And I remember I began to learn how to speak English language very well. When I was in the village, I didn't share that story with you. Maybe I will share this particular one with you sometime later. How I struggled to master the English language. One of the reasons I had to master it, something kept telling me, Rachel, one day you'll be speaking to people of different continents and countries. I didn't even know how that would happen. So I've always been this kind of ambitious or very aspirational. You have to use the word. So thoughts of achievements, thoughts of ambitions and aspirations kept dropping in my heart. He still do that today. Such thoughts still drop to date. So as they keep dropping, I never doubted it. I kept thinking I would be. So I'll be like, what do I do to be able to? So I remember I began to learn how to speak the English language just to get ready for that side. At a point, I began to learn how to speak the English language relatively better, not with so much Nigerian accent. So the world will be able to understand what I'm saying. I could dream that big. And then I remember also, one of the reasons I insisted going to the university was because I was finishing secondary school. While I was doing sales girl at 17, something kept saying, Rachel, you'd address professors, you'd address learned, lettered, and the unlettered. Therefore, you can't possibly do that as a non-graduate. So I felt that being a graduate would make me to do that. So another thing that kept me as an adult was aspiration. I could aspire. I was very ambitious. I've always been very ambitious. And I accept being ambitious. If you say, Rachel, you're over ambitious, I say, okay, who does low ambition help? Who has he helped? So lastly was perseverance. I wouldn't even say determination. I wouldn't just say, I call it perseverance. Yeah. I was often defeated. I was, repeatedly defeated, but I never gave up totally. I don't know how to give up actually as a person. I don't know how to give up. So I could feel pressed. I would cry out my eyes, I would weep, and I would tell myself, you know what, Rachel, you're getting up and you're going. So I think in addition to salvation and in addition to my academic intelligence, the three more things that played role, okay, the purpose and academic intelligence was being ambitious and being very persevering.
Awesome, sis. And when I spoke to you, you spoke about embodiment of encouragement.
Exactly. That was the name I gave to myself.
Talk to me about that briefly, sis, before I ask you what you actually are currently doing now and what you've done. Yes. Talk to me about embodiment of encouragement.
Okay, what happened was that first, it's very funny, but let me say it. We had this Michael West dictionary. If you know that dictionary, it's an old dictionary, Michael West. So this Michael West dictionary used to be in our house. So that dictionary taught me a lot of English language vocabularies. Okay, so when I finished elementary school, I was to enter the secondary school, and my dad said, you have to wait another year. There was a school that was to, come to my village, to be established in the village, and my dad said, it's either you wait to attend this school or you leave. That was before he's dead now. So I was waiting. Now, finally, when the date of resumption was announced in the village, something told me, Gineka, you need to go with God. Then I was not actually born again yet. But I was brought up in a very strong Christian way. So even before I gave my life to Jesus, that is, I began to have a personal relationship with God. There was already an inclination towards God. So how the name came about was that I told myself I was going to be fasting, because the way I understood God was that if you wanted to connect to God very well, you fast. So I told myself I would fast. Okay, so when I fast, I would talk with God. On that day of fasting. I still remember that fasting lasted between around 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. in the evening. While I was praying, I told God a lot of things. One of it was, I said, God, I want to be someone. I want the name, the lady called Rachel, to be synonymous with encouragement. People look at me, encouragement oozes out of my body. People see the life I lead, encouragement everywhere. So with the help of Michael West Dictionary, I was looking for a word that could describe it. I saw the word embodiment. I said, cool, that's it. I said, Rachel, I declare you from this day an embodiment of encouragement. I held my heart, I cried before God. I still remember that room in the village as I speak. I said, God, I will be an embodiment of encouragement. People will see me and they want to succeed. Everything about my life would encourage people. So that was how I gave myself that tag. That was before I entered JSS1 and all through my high school. Do you know, even when I became a teen, as I was growing into teenage years, and relationship issues were emerging and, were coming up. Could you believe? Aside being a Christian, one of the things that moderated my life, that regulated my youthful exuberance, was the fact that I'm an embodiment of encouragement. I saw myself as a model. So that was how the name came. I actually gave it to myself. I began to call myself. And the very first publication I did in my life was in 2014. That came like a magazine. It was actually A4 paper, about 4 pages or so. I called it the Talking Letters. And all through the write-up, I could address myself as embodiment of encouragement. And so when I met my husband, I remember my husband, each time he called me that name, he sent me to the other planet. I was like, yeah, this is a man that knows me. So I kept, that was how I got the name, actually. That was how the name came about. And today, feel free to call me an embodiment of encouragement. I'm happy to answer that.
Awesome. So you also said, and you spoke to me about looking in the mirror and speaking to yourself and telling yourself positive words. That despite what you're going through, you speak to yourself. Talk to me about that experience and what kind of things do you say to yourself?
Okay, the kinds of things I say to myself. Well, I am someone who uses the standing mirror generally, differently. I think I use mirror more, in a way that many ladies don't. For me, mirror is not just about the beauty of my face. Mirror makes me to see Rachel. I like my face so much. So when I want to talk to myself, I want to see this face. And when I
Mm,
see Rachel, it's just like what I showed you about the scar on my forehead. Do
mm,
you know when I look at the mirror and see the scar? For me, the scar is that of an achiever, is that of a woman with stories and all that. So what I do is this. Most times, almost on daily basis, I look at myself in the mirror. And as I stand before the mirror, I see this face. I said, that's Rachel. I would smile to my. There were other times I could cry. I could come to the mirror and, like, each time I'm overwhelmed with life. Those years when I could finish reading, and there was no money to pay school fees, I would be told you wouldn't be writing exams. At such times, with heavy tears, I could come to the mirror. As I would look at the mirror, tears would gush out. I would cry, but I would tell myself, Rachel, but you succeed. I begin to
mm.
call myself embodiment of encouragement. I say, God, in fact, to date, it doesn't master me to call God God, actually. I've said I don't want to be emotional in this video. God help me. I want to behave like an adult. But at the time, I I could look at my face and I say, Father. I usually like to call God Father. I say, Father, this is Rachel. Oh God, this is Rachel. You know that song that says, I can't remember the artist. He knows my name.
Yes.
He knows my every thought and all that. So I could look at myself and I keep speaking positively to myself. Mary,
Mm,
before I came here on this show with you, sometime in the past, last year, I
mm-hmm.
looked at my face and said, Rachel, you're going to be speaking to people from outside Nigeria and, of course, outside Africa. I began to look at my face and began to tell myself, I said, you've got to be ready. If you're called to deliver, in a conference, to people from Asia, from people from Australia, people from North America and all that, what would you say? I began to prepare, but I told myself. So one of the things I just look at myself, and anything I could think of, I began to tell myself. As I speak with you, there are other things I tell myself. And believe me, they will come to pass. So my own affirmation is not just talking, it's looking at my face from the mirror and saying it and quoting God's word.
Mm,
That's place in I think in Book of Job, the Bible said, and there's a spirit in man, but the inspiration of the Almighty gives him understanding. I changed that passage to mean there's a spirit in me, and the
mm.
inspiration of the Almighty gives me understanding. So I speak to myself on the mirror, I tell myself God's word. Okay. So as I keep saying it, it keep entering.
Wow.
And you know what? The heart harbors what he sees, what he hears, what is read into it. So, meanwhile, what is spoken is from the heart. So when
Yes.
I thought of myself, I thought of myself, achieving a lot. I've thought it first. I go to the extent of saying it. Then my ear hears it back. Then there's a re-echoing in my heart. So what in my mind, whatever I want to be, wherever I want to go, become doubly registered in my mind. So I don't just think it. I have a vision board, of course, but I don't just look at the vision board. I keep speaking to myself. And as I keep speaking to myself, it keeps happening. And I don't do that without looking at my face once again.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, my dear sister. This is just, I can be here all day. I can literally
Mm.
be here all day listening to you and your journey. I'm gonna wrap some things up. There is a last question. Let me take this last question just to honor Elizabeth, and then I'm gonna ask you where we can find you and what you do now, okay?
All
Because
right.
time is it's getting to the hour. This conversation has been mwah! It's been it's been
Thank
it's
you
been,
so much.
it's been very heartfelt, but I'm just so charged and encouraged, honestly.
Mm.
Okay, so
Mm.
let me read this comment from Elizabeth Mo. It says, which positive people encouraged you in your Christian life? Did you do it all yourself?
I like that question. Thank you so much for bringing it up, Elizabeth. Yes, one of the persons that encouraged me was my pastor's wife. My pastor's wife over there in Enugu, because I gave my life to Christ in my state. When I traveled to Enugu State, Nigeria, I began to attend this particular church. Then I was hungry of God's word.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that this woman was busy, he was working in Anambra State, a different state altogether. Whenever I got hungry, I would say, Mommy, can I come and hear God's word? You say, come. It's now that I'm an adult that I understood what the woman was going through. She never told me I don't have chance. She kept dissecting God's word. In fact, when I said that, I made a comment in earlier. I said, when I heard that this was how, or this how people who know God should behave, if I don't see such in my own life, I feel like, God, this is not it. Can I tell you something? It was that woman that painted a picture of who a Christian should be to me.
Mm.
So as he kept sharing her own life, the woman told me, my pastor's wife, Mrs. Agnes Indo, that's her name, she told me that God began to speak with her one-on-one, speaking to her physical ear at age 12. In the course of sharing God's word with me, at one-on-one Bible study that she had with me many times, I saw myself as someone who was backward. I mean, this mommy began to hear God at 12, and I was already around 15, 16. I said, God, no, I just have to start hearing you.
Mm.
She told me that the way society sees things is not the way God sees things. He explained this to me. So my pastor's wife was one Christian that helped me a lot. Every point she made, she dissected, and it kept, increasing my hunger for growth and my hunger for God. And after that, when I was a lot of people came in between, came here and there, and my own siblings too. My elder brother, one of my elder brothers actually gave his life to Jesus before me, and then my younger brother afterwards. When I went to the university, one Nigerian preacher called Brother Brobile Akani, I don't know if you know him, he's the founder of Peace House. Brobile Akani was one man God used for me. I listened to his messages a lot. He was the man that said that after you were born again, you needed to be sanctified. You needed to be circumcised. So I saw some things in my life I didn't like. I acknowledged that, see, I have not tested the circumcision that Billy talked about. And so I went back to God. So these were two people I could remember vividly, very obviously. My pastor's wife and Bro Bile Akani.
Awesome. And God bless them. God
God
bless them
bless.
for being with
Amen.
you. Yes, God bless them. God bless them in Jesus' name. So, my dear
Amen.
sister, actually, there's one more question I have to ask you. I ask all my guests this question. If anybody were to hear this conversation that we're having now, who would those people be? If you were to choose or pick a group of people or a person, who would you like to hear this story?
This is a very difficult question, I must confess. Because when I remember the impact my dad made in my life, my dad's words helped me a lot. I feel parents should hear this. That what you tell your child, don't say they are small. My father started talking to us as babies. So when we grew to be where he was not, his words were with us. That way, I felt parents should hear. However, since you said I should choose maybe like two people, two set of people.
It could be a group of people. It could be anything. In fact, anybody who you want. You pick. It's your story. You get to pick.
Okay. I would pick young people and specifically young women.
Okay.
Young
Awesome.
people and specifically young women. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome, sister. My lovely sister. So, sis, what do you do now? You've been through all of these adversities in your life. You've persevered. You've pushed. You've gone through so much. You succeeded. You are a victor. You've just gone beyond, really and truly. What do you do now with all of this? Who do you speak to? What lives do you impact?
Okay, thank you so much. Now I do a lot of things because life pushed me to try out a lot of things. It's become a default setting for me to do a lot of things. One of it is that there's a show I host online, like you're hosting me now. Well, guess who I host? Children. It's called The Idea Moment with Rachel. First, maybe before I talk about it, let me say that I'm an author, okay? Maybe I should, from the author thing, I'll enter the TIM. I'm an author. And the very first book I authored, I authored 3 books actually. The very first book is called Why the You. Every step I took to discover my purpose, I try to document. In fact, the book can otherwise be called What Purpose Is, How to Discover Your Purpose, and How to Flourish in Your Career as a person through the discovery of purpose. Good enough, that book sells like crazy. I mean, by God's grace, I humbly, want to say that I am a bestseller. I'm an internationally published author. The book is on Amazon, but the book has sold in various parts of the world, especially various countries in Africa. As I speak with you, I
Please
got an
repeat
order
the name
from
of the book. Please repeat the name of the book.
Why the You? Why
Why?
the You?
Why
Why
the?
the You? Yes, that's the name of the book. It's on Amazon. So I first had to write a book on purpose because I think it's where it started. So I help people to discover their purposes. That's one of the things I do now. I have people to discover their purposes. I do this. I have an institution. I have an online academy called Innovators Eye Space. Okay, Innovators Eye Space, where I help people first to discover their purposes, discover who they are. You know, time couldn't allow me to also mention that I got to discover myself relatively earlier in life. I began to discover myself first. So the more I discovered myself, the more I loved me. For example, guess what? I noticed that have a loud voice as a person. I said, yeah, Rachel, you were a speaker, you were a teacher, you need to have a loud voice. I could also notice that, I began to pick things I loved about me. I loved my face. I love I love this. I noticed I'm a melancholy. So self-discovery and purpose discovery was one thing that helped me a lot. So I'm an author and I have documented how anyone can discover their purpose, and I help people do that. So in my institution called Innovators Eye Space, I help people first to discover their purposes. I then help people to build brands, build businesses around their purposes because poverty dealt with me. So I feel that in life, it's good to have testimonies, but poverty, you have to overcome it. Until you overcome poverty, you need it. So I documented how I teach in my institution, rather, how you can build a business around the confines of your purpose. Another thing is that I said I hold an online event called The Idea Moment with Rachel, TIM with Rachel, where I host mainly kids.
Okay.
What do I do? As much as I love purpose, I discovered my purpose late. I must confess, because I got to be able to ascertain what my purpose is somewhere just before I graduated from the university and when I had graduated. And for me, that's late. So in the Idea Moment with Rachel, I help children to discover their purpose as early as possible. I help children to discover their talents and other potentials they have and how that can solve real life problems. I came from Nigeria where theories abound. And so I help these kids to discover, okay, if you have this talent, you have this, how can you solve real life problems? Mary, I come to understand that when you solve people's problems, they pay you. So at that point, the issue of there's no job. The moment you solve problems, money will run after you. So I help the kids to discover their talents, their other potentials, and how that can solve real life problems. Beyond that, I help them to articulate their thoughts, to be able to think out and to be able to say it. One thing that saves me in this life, at those stages, one of the things God did for me was that I'm a confident person, naturally. I have morale, I'm a confident person and I am outspoken. Is it outspoken? I'm expressive.
Yes.
Do you know a lot of helps I attracted as a suffering undergraduate was when I could go to somewhere and they could just say, just very randomly, so Rachel, what's about this? Just mention something. And I could just say something. And they say, wow, see the way she speaks. She sounds so intelligent. She's this. From there, I could gain love and people could pay something for me, say, okay, are you a student? Yes. Take this and all of that. So I help these children to develop confidence. I help them to master expressiveness so they could be able to express themselves anywhere, anytime. Then I have a Facebook community actually called Innovative Minds Vision Africa, where I and other industry experts help people, members of the group, to discover their purposes and build businesses from that purposes, and of course build globally relevant brands. I'm speaking to your audience today, and this audience are cut across very parts of the world, because I have personally mastered how to package whatever it is I want to deliver in a way it could serve diverse audience. So I help my people in the community, Facebook community, to know how to discover their purposes, create solutions that could be universally could have universal implication, could be
Yes.
universally applicable,
Yes.
and could be universally appealing. That is, people would
Yes.
like it everywhere.
Yes.
So these are the things I do now. So I help people discover their purposes, I help people build businesses, and I help children to become their best through my show called Idea Moment with Rachel.
Firebrand. You're like a fireball. Honestly, you're a firebrand. And I
Thank you
absolutely
so
love
much.
it. I absolutely love it, my lovely sister. This has been such an awesome time, awesome discussion. And I just want to say for everybody in the chat, God bless you all and thank you so much. All the places that our dear sister has spoken about, they're all in my description in terms of where to find and locate her. So if you want to connect with her, you can go down below in my description, and all her social media handles are already there. So please do so. If you feel that God is calling you to reach out or to connect or to do something, please do so. That's what it's there for. As you can see, our darling sister, she's very friendly, she's open, she's she's a lovely lady actually, and she's a firebrand. Firebrand is the word that's coming to me for you, firebrand.
Thank
So
you
I'm just
so
saying
much.
thank you so much, my lovely sister, for sharing all you have shared today. And I'm just so happy that we've connected. And I want to also say that God's timing is the best, sis. You see how you said, you spoke about, you considered it to be late. Yes, maybe if you look at the years or you look at the time that you're supposed to finish, but God's timing for you is the best, my sis. You didn't miss a thing. You didn't miss a beat. Everything was perfectly made for you. So I'm so happy. Even this conversation, God knew, before we were formed, that we were going to speak today.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy, and I'm just so honored to have you here sharing this story, my lovely sister. So any last words before I say goodbye to you and before I say goodbye to my guest? Any last words, sis?
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I just want to say, like Clement Stone said, he said the discovery of purpose is the starting point of all achievements. I would advise you listening to us to discover your purpose by all means possible. Two, that should even be the first one, is to seek Jesus.
Mm,
There's a place meant for Jesus in every heart, no matter your
mm,
language, no matter your color. If it's not Jesus, it's not Jesus. So make peace with him, serve him, and of course, get ready to spend eternity with him in heaven. So these are just the two words. Please seek Jesus and discover your purpose. Meanwhile, I'll be interviewed on CBN next week. I almost forgot. Is it next week? Opera Week, please. By 6th of April, I'll be interviewed by CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, where I will be sharing part of this story. And I know TBN, the largest TV network, Christian TV network, will be airing it. And a particular radio to We FM in Abuja will also be hosting me.
okay.
So I would encourage you to please tune in and then make sure you enjoy the rest of the story as we share it over there, because the world, I noticed that the world gets revived hearing this story.
Awesome, sister. Awesome, absolutely awesome. What you could do is you can definitely send me that information of what time and all of that, and then I can share it on my Facebook page, and then or I can share it on my YouTube community so that those who want to connect can definitely tune in on that day. Thank you, sister. Thank you so much, Rachel. God bless
You're
you.
welcome. It's a pleasure being with you, Mary. You're doing a great job. You're such a lovely sister. I love you.
I love you too. I do, sis. I love you too. But thank you so much. And I will definitely message you after this conversation.
It's okay.
All right, my lovely sis. Take care now.
All right, bye.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome conversation. I want to say thank you to everybody. God bless you all. God bless you, my dear Rev. I can see you coming now, Rev. God bless you, lovely Rev, my inspiration. Thank you so much. What I want to say is thank you guys so much for the super chats. I saw it during the conversation. God bless you. I'm trying to remember. I believe Holy Frequency. I believe our dear sister Hillspiration, Sister Effa, I can't remember. Speaking Grace TV. I believe that you all gave super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you all. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I cannot see it anymore. Unfortunately, if you gave me a super chat, just write super chat down below, please. But I want to say thank you guys so much. I think it was an awesome time. I want to wrap this up quickly because, of course, I believe our dear sister, um, Jane in Worship. Jane in Worship, how long until you're live? Please write in the chat how long to your live. When are you going live? Is it half an hour? Is it an hour's time? Let me know, please, so we can all go over and raid you also. Now, what I want to say is that was such an awesome story. And it was just, well, heartfelt. I think we all felt it on this live. So I definitely want to say big thank you. I want to also say God bless you, Blessing, our dear sister Blessing. Ehegwina, God bless you, my lovely sister, and congratulations to you for reaching your 1,000 subscribers. We had a party before this live, and it was such an awesome time. And she's such an awesome lady. I think, Kenny, can you please, or one of the moderators, please go ahead and drop our dear sister's link. I don't know if anybody doesn't have her that's in the chat, but please go ahead and just support our dear sister. If you don't have her, please connect with her. She's such an awesome lady, a woman of God, a lovely dear sister to us all. So I just want to go over and support her. And yeah, please feel free to do that. Kenny, please put that in the chat if you don't mind. God bless you. I think, okay, Grace Lando, you've done it. Thank you so much. Yes, awesome. So I want to say thank you. I don't want to take too much time because I know that we've got another live to go to soon. So God bless you, Pastor's Wife Perspective. Thank you so much. God bless you, dear Rev. I just finished teaching and I've been happy to... Yes, my lovely Rev. Rev, you know I love you, you know. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Sandra, God bless you, my lovely sister. I love you. Thank you ever so much for being here. Speaking Grace TV, God bless you. Yes, we have landed well. I'm thinking we're going to catch another flight soon to Jane in Worship too. And I'm going on first class flights. And virtual church, this time I'm sure there will be food on that flight. God bless you, his word. Thank you so much, his word. God bless you. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Sister Erica. Lovely to see you again, sis. Me and Sister Erica, we were on Holy Frequencies live last week, Wednesday. Awesome time. We spoke about relationships. Please go ahead and catch that video. If you can drop Holy Frequencies link, please go ahead and do so. Holy Frequency, please go ahead and do so they can go and see that if they haven't seen it already. Teacher S. Higgins, God bless you, lovely sister. Pose and Godly, God bless you, sister. God bless you. It's your first time here. I want to give you a special welcome. Thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Sister Jasmine, God bless you. I know that you're at church today. I know this is your church day. So thank you so much for joining us today. So Sister Jasmine says, come on that flight. Yes, let me tell you something. We're catching flights today. We are catching those flights. Thank you so much, Grace Landa. Thank you so much, Grace Landa. You're so kind, Grace. Isn't Grace so kind, everybody? You know, she's so lovely. God bless you, Jane in Worship. Thank you so much, sister. Who else? Elizabeth Moe, my lovely sister. Thank you ever so much, my lovely sister. God bless you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Obian, God bless you, Obianju, God bless you. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is my first time seeing you, so I want to give you a special welcome. Thank you so much. Angela Fireround, God bless you. Dawn Janice, God bless you. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. God bless you, Sister E. Thank you ever so much, everybody. People chosen by grace, lovely sister. I really appreciate you. Thank you ever so much. God bless you all, everybody. God, may God bless us, you know, because it's not, when we do things like this, it's because of the love of God that flows in us. When we do things like supporting each other, it's because of God's love working in us. We do this, like, we really support each other. We are a family. You understand? So I just want to thank God for his love, you know, the expression of his love that we are doing and we are using towards and for each other. It's a beautiful thing to witness. It's a beautiful thing to witness because I haven't actually sat in a room with nobody on this chat. I haven't sat down. I haven't even touched a person, but we have all such a strong connection, and our connection is love. God bless you, Uncle. Thank you so much. Inspiration. God bless you, sister. Thank you ever so much for being here. God bless you. Queen Lizzie, I saw you. God bless you all. I can't see any more names. I want to say thank you to everybody that was here, that joined us with our dear sister. Thank you all so much. Thumbs up and blue indeed. Okay, worship with Gladys is live now. All right, cool. Can somebody please drop her link? Can somebody please drop her link so we can go and raid her? Before I go, let's drop worship with Gladys link. One of the moderators, please kindly do that if you can. If you just type in worship with Gladys and then drop the link, we'll all go and raid her. And yes, thumbs up in blue virtual. Let's catch our next flight, guys. I'll see you at the, whatever they call it, the check-in something, check-out or whatever. Thank you ever so much, everybody. God is good and he is worthy to be praised. God is good and he is worthy to be praised. He deserves all the praise and he deserves all the honor in our lives. I thank God for what he's doing in each and every one of our lives. We give God the glory. He's an awesome God. Thank you, Jesus. Has somebody dropped that link? Somebody dropped that link. Bye-bye, my lovely sister. Refreshing Insights, thank you so much for coming. Thank you ever so much for being here. It's always lovely to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you, my lovely sister. God bless you. Thank you so much. I think they're going to deal with that. Or maybe I can do it on my phone. God bless you all. Thank you so much, my lovely family. I really appreciate it. I just want to drop worship with Gladys live. If you got her link, then of course you can head over already. You can go over, but let me just drop it before I go. And I'll see you all there. Thank you so much, my lovely family. God bless you all. Thank you ever so. Esther's Chronicles, my lovely sister. How are you doing? How are you doing, sis? I just dropped worship by Gladys link. How are you doing, sis? God bless you. Love you so much. Esther's Chronicles. We are out now. I really appreciate you. Let's go and raid our dear sister, Worship with Gladys. I will see you all there. Esther's Chronicle, my lovely sister. Mwah. Love to you and love to everybody. Bye-bye, everybody, and I'll see you over there, okay? Thank you so much, guys. I love you and take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, all the moderators. God bless.